want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible.
So, first up in today's hot legal topics, what in the world is going on with this business in Sweden and ASAP Rocky? In case you haven't seen the video of the fight in Stockholm, Sweden that started it all, take a look at this.
Just go that way, man. I'm not too nice. Can you go that way? I'm nice. I'm nice. Before I slap the dog shit out of you, go down that way. You're trying me right now. Go that way. Go ahead, go. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Hey, go this way. My iPhone. My headphones. Go this way. My friend. Go this way. Go this way. You know? Go this way.
Listen. We don't want to fight y'all. We're not trying to go to jail.
My headphone is fucking my headphone.
You hit him with it.
I want my headphone.
I understand that you hit him with it.
I want to go down the street.
You don't understand.
Go down the street. Go down the street.
Listen, bro. It's okay, bro.
You fuck it.
I have so much I could say about this right now. Since that happened, he was arrested. He's getting a lot of support from the hip-hop community, with reports of him being held in an inhumane, disease-ridden facility. That claim, of course, is being disputed. Yodit, first, where was the crime when, oh boy, whoever that was throwing stuff and starting ruckus upon ruckus? And how is it that ASAP Rocky is the one who ends up in this ridiculously long detention and all of these circumstances?
You know, I don't even know if because they're trying to charge him with aggravated assault. The prosecutor in this case is trying to determine whether he's going to, you know, prosecute or not on those charges. And it may have something to do with who ASAP Rocky is, right? Because you would think that having that evidence, that video where you show time and time again ASAP Rocky in the video and his entourage saying, please, we do not want any trouble. Please stop following us. You see one of the young men throwing their, you know, headphones at one of the other guys in ASAP Rocky's entourage. So you would think that with that video, and then you have ASAP Rocky going to the police himself voluntarily and reporting this and showing evidence of the confrontation, you would think at that point that you would understand what the situation was. I don't know what was wrong with those two individuals, but I think it had a lot to do with who ASAP Rocky is. And unfortunately, I think that the prosecutor in this case is trying to either get some clout because it's being alleged that he is really not trying to let ASAP Rocky go, and instead he's trying to seek an additional 2 weeks for him to remain in detention while he gears up for trial.
Okay, but Scott, tell me this. Do we not have an obligation in our government to do something to assist this man?
Well, I'm sure the embassies and the diplomacy is in place and working on what needs to happen. From the prosecutor's standpoint, what the prosecutor's looking at, and it may be right of what's been said already, but the prosecutor's also looking at that video that the African-American men could have retreated more, or they could have called the police. And at the end of the video, you see 3 or 4 of them beating one or both of the harassers, if you will. And so if you look at the full video, you're absolutely right. There's some good stuff in there for the rapper that's incarcerated. But the second half of the last portion of that video shows them being assaulted. And so I don't disagree with anything that's being said. This case, if nobody was hurt, or it needs to settle or go to mediation or what have you. But if he went to the police and the tables have been turned on him, then the lawyers need to get together and resolve it. If this was at the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C., they'd be in mediation right now.
Well, we would hope. I mean, people are being held when they shouldn't be held, even in the United States, you know, where you can't buy yourself out. Obviously, he would have been able to pay, we would think, for some bond or some bail or for whatever in order to be released, pending.
I don't know.
And that's what I'm saying.
So he was denied bail. He was considered a flight risk.
Wow.
Great. Yeah.
Well, he certainly is, but that would mean the embassies and the ambassador to Sweden, which is a neutral country, ought to be involved negotiating some resolution. I bet you as we watch this in the next 2 or 3 days, there'll be some diplomatic resolution to this.
No, because how long has this been going on, Yodit?
Well, apparently, so he's been in for at least, we know, 5 days, because it's been reported that he's only been able to eat 1 apple a day for 5 days. But not to mention what you're saying about diplomacy, Scott. Under the Vienna Convention for Consular Relations, it's a treaty signed by both the U.S. and Sweden. ASAP has the right to immediately see and consult with the consulate. And so when he actually requested one. And when the consulate official appeared at the detention center, he was denied access to him. So then 2 days later, he finally was able to talk to the consulate, but only in the presence of Swedish officials. So if you think about it in terms of how we do things here, you obviously have a constitutional right to counsel and to have private communications that's protected under the attorney-client privilege. He's getting none of that whatsoever, so they're in clear violation of this treaty.
Good point.
And in all places, Joanna, Sweden, the place where we're supposed to go,
They got
where we
racists in
figure
Sweden.
everything. Look, listen,
They got racists
everywhere. That's for sure. But we would hope, in terms of a judicial system that's going to offer some measure of fairness, especially since our own DOJ is a little sketchy right now. I mean, what steps need to be being done here?
Yeah, I find it very problematic that he was not given access to the consular. Like, because under the, like she said, under the Vienna Convention, you have that right as a citizen who is abroad. When something happens, the first person you call, the first body that you contact is the U.S. If you're a U.S. citizen, you contact your embassy or whatever citizen or whatever country you may be. You contact that embassy of that country, and then they're supposed to provide you with assistance. So I'm trying to figure out, like, you know, am I missing something? Are there more facts that we don't know about? Because I don't understand why he was not given access to.
Well, he had access to them, but
not immediately though. Not immediately.
Well, it's being alleged that the consulate was denied access because they didn't want the consulate to see the conditions that they're exposing him to. Apparently, he's in 24/7 solitary confinement. He's not getting the food that he needs. It's basically like walking into a toilet, is what someone said. And so, because of the conditions, the inhumane conditions he's being exposed to, they didn't want the the official from the U.S. Embassy to see that. That could be the reason as well. But nonetheless, still denied access. And right now, we don't even know if he's really going to be charged or not. So he's being detained indefinitely. And, you know, something needs to be done quickly.
So, Michael, what are some things we can do to turn up the volume here? Because I put no faith right now in the manner in which our Department of Justice is running and the types of edicts that are being sent out around the world. I mean, it is obvious that favoritism is at hand in the way that people who are charged with crimes, even crimes against the United States of America, are being treated. What do we do?
I mean, different direction, because everything you guys have been discussing relative to the legal part of it and diplomacy and all that is absolutely correct. But which is something you alluded to earlier, is that the rules are different for black people. And sometimes you need to turn and walk away. Because what do you have to lose if things go south? And this is what you have to lose when things go south. Yes, were they being obnoxious? Were they being annoying? Of course they were. But you were the one with the bodyguards. Just walk away. There's no.
And you have more to lose.
You have
than them.
absolutely more to lose.
So you've got to walk.
What is the macho being tough, beating up two guys that are smaller than you?
Well, I gotta disagree, guys.
Ooh, please, Yodi, because my hair was about to stand on edge.
No.
Come on.
No, listen, this is super responsibility.
Yes, it is. That's
We're
right.
talking about super responsibility. You're right, and
Yeah, you're
and
totally
Sweden
right.
is wrong.
Absolutely.
And these kids are, and the
Correct.
harassers are wrong. Don't get me
Correct.
wrong. Michael's talking about greater personal responsibility when you've got a lot to lose compared to the other person who's harassing you. And I know he and I walk away every day in our day-to-day life about it.
Every single day. Every
Yes,
day.
but whether it was you, Michael, whether it was you, Scott, and you did not walk away, if you had that one too many offenses against your manhood, against your blackness, against your black manhood, what you're supposed to have is laws that protect you, a country that stands up for
We
you,
agree with
a
all that.
lawyer that
Agreed.
speaks for you.
Agreed.
No.
But the
no.
rapper's in jail.
Maybe
So he in jail, though, and he's trying to get out of jail and get back to the
He is
U.S.
in jail.
He could have avoided all of that by taking super responsibility for
How many
yourself
times can
and
you say
walking
leave
away.
me alone? And he recorded the incident
I
for that
understand.
very same reason, right? And so we tell young black Americans, black and brown people here to do as they're told when they encounter police. And guess what? That still doesn't work. But why do we record?
But
We record
let me
because
say this.
Let
me say this, though.
We can't even.
It's hard for young African American men to take that super responsibility, but we've got to tell
I think
them
he did.
that, too.
I think he did as many times as he
Okay.
could possibly.
I'm
and make him
sorry.
physically threatening.
All lawyers stand down. We're not done.
No charcoal grills are allowed. I'm white. I got you, bro. Illegally selling water without a permit
On my property.
Whoa! Hey! I'm uncomfortable.
We have been interrupted a bit by the satellite feed, so we're going to move from those who are praying for us to some people we should probably be praying for. Crazy ass white people. A video was posted showing the general manager of a Burger King confronting two old white women after they berated him for speaking Spanish inside the restaurant, since I guess these old white women didn't realize that there is no national official language in America. Well, let's watch it. Here's what happened.
Go back to Mexico if you want to keep speaking Spanish. Go back to your Mexican your state, your country.
Guess what, man? I'm not Mexican. I'm not Mexican, but you're being very prejudiced, and I want you out of my restaurant right now.
I'll finish my meal and then I'll.
You know what? I'll do it for you, man. I'll call the cops and have you trespassing me. It'll be easier for me. It'll be easier for you to have people like you, so ignorant and disrespectful.
We are ignorant.
You're very ignorant and disrespectful. Have a great day and get out of my restaurant.
Don't worry,
Go.
This isn't your restaurant.
Yes, it is, ma'am.
It is not.
And it is, actually, as a matter of fact, it is. I hate to say
Wow.
it, but it is.
Wow.
And you know what? The owner of this franchise is Mexican. His name is
But
Guillermo Morales.
they always speak English.
No, they don't. He does not. You're very inconsiderate and you're very rude. So, get your business somewhere else. Get your business somewhere else.
You don't know how to act by round people.
Excuse me, you're telling me not to speak my native language? You're being really prejudiced, ma'am. You're being really prejudiced.
I didn't tell you. I said you should speak it
You know what?
around here.
I have nothing to say to you, ma'am. Just have a nice day, and they'll come back.
Don't worry, we won't.
I'm glad you won't.
Crazy ass white people. brother, why? Well, it seems like it's always Florida, but what do you make of that? Speak American English.
Right.
Which is not British English, to be sure, but I'm not sure they can make the distinction.
I don't know what American English is, but
American English is the stuff that says instead of the telly and the loo and the lift, says the bathroom and the elevator, bro.
I mean, the manager was actually on point. This is ignorance. It's stupidity. It's bigotry. We've seen this before. Du Bois asked the question at the turn of the century, how does it feel to be the problem?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And clearly that problem has expanded to not just include black people, but it's people of color, it's people who speak a foreign language, it's people who wear a turban, it's people who call God by Allah, right? So they're all problems. And unfortunately, it's another day in America.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, when we look at this, I'm thinking about it in the context of the things that have been going on in the last 48 hours. We saw Mike Pompeo saying that the United States is now looking into getting into a conversation about what constitutes a human right. Today, just before we went on the air, Trump was in called a press conference and trotted out Bill Barr to talk about ways to get around adding the citizenship question to the census. I mean, all these conversations that these two women clearly are caught up in some ways, in terms of the cultural gesture, speak to this ability they think they have to define who's an American.
It always speaks to the privilege they've had.
You said.
Absolutely.
I don't have it anymore.
Well, we know that the country is turning, right?
Right.
And they are fearful of that.
So they're not crazy, they're scared.
And so they're absolutely
scared. White
you
people.
People are scared. They're scared and they're crazy.
Scared and crazy.
But things that we are afraid of drive us.
But what's the fear?
The fear is
What are we going to do to them?
The fear is we're not going to do anything with it.
Right. Where's the history that we ever did?
We want our own citizenship. We want our own rights. We want what's the Constitution say? Liberty, peace, happiness, justice, pursuit of happiness.
No, maybe I shouldn't say we could.
So,
I'm thinking, what about our Spanish-speaking kin here in this country? Because I'm thinking now about the Contra Chomps a few years ago when they wanted folks to sing the so-called national anthem in English and not Spanish. They were singing it in Spanish, and it bothered them. First of all, why are you singing about Fort McHenry in Spanish in the first place? But let's set that aside. You're demonstrating patriotism. Is there something about immigrants from the Spanish-speaking community? Well, I shouldn't say immigrants, because some of these folks, the border crossed them. They didn't cross the border. They've been here 500 years. But what is it about Spanish-speaking countries that has triggered this kind of? Because we're seeing this over and over again, brother.
But the thing is, Dr. Carr, it's not just Spanish-speaking countries. It's people are scared of the other. Anybody or anything that they are not familiar with, that they feel is intruding on their space, and that's the problem here. In their psyche, it's a psychosis. They feel as though Spanish speakers, Arabs, Muslims, black people, etc., are impeding on their country. Hence, make America great again.
Right.
Right? So it's this narrative. Trump is the catalyst for all of this to take place.
He's peeled it back. It was there, but he's given them.
It's always been there. Let's be very clear, but he's fueling this. And we see this playing out with older white women. And the manager wasn't even Mexican. He was Puerto Rican.
Yes.
He is a United States citizen. So again, it's the ignorance and it's the fear that's driving them to be crazy.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. MarijuanaStock.org is another great investment opportunity if you were lucky enough to invest in their last crowdfunding campaign. You, of course, now know that those folks are invested in a publicly traded company. They raised a ton of money in a few months investing in legal marijuana farms. Now, of course, they have a new investment opportunity, which is as good or if not even better. I'm talking about industrial hemp CBD. For those who don't know, the hemp plant is the cousin to marijuana, with a much higher concentration of CBD, which means hemp CBD gives you all the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Now, until recently, hemp farming was practically illegal in the U.S. and heavily regulated by the DEA. However, the 2018 Farm Bill changed all of that, making it legal to grow hemp CBD in the U.S. and creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. They need land to grow all the plants, which makes for an incredible investment opportunity. And that's where our good friends at 420 Real Estate come in. Their business model is real simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to high-paying tenants. That's right, they are hemp CBD landlords. And you can get in on the action. You can invest in the crowdfunding campaign for as little as $200 up to $10,000. Like I said, you may not want to miss out on this opportunity. Go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org to get the game and to do it now. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. By going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com, you can make this possible.
Hey, folks, you might recall when American Airlines had to apologize to Tamika Mallory, the activist, for being thrown off of an airplane that led to the NAACP asking black folks not to have caution flying American Airlines. You might remember we were at their national convention last year in San Antonio where the CEO of American Airlines came there to apologize and to announce the training that all American Airlines employees are going to go through. Well, now they have another issue. The black woman, a doctor from Houston, was flying, and a couple of flight attendants felt that her attire was improper. They actually asked her to cover up. She took photos of her attire. Folks got a chance to see it. As a result, American Airlines has since apologized to her. Joining us right now is Dr. Tisha Rowe. Doctor, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Glad to have you on the show. American Airlines was supposed to take all their employees through sensitivity training, but here we have more African Americans like yourself who are complaining about, again, being pulled off by flight attendants. Were you shocked to have these flight attendants question your attire?
I was shocked. I was insulted. I was confused. There was absolutely nothing hanging out. I looked at myself front and back in the restroom just prior to boarding the flight, and I had no issue with my attire.
And so did they give you something to cover up, or were you eventually allowed onto the plane wearing what you wore?
I had to cover up with a blanket in order to board the plane.
And I assume that was extremely embarrassing to you, having to walk on the plane with a blanket around you. And you're probably looking at other passengers saying, why did she have to cover up?
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. I was humiliated. I spoke to another passenger who was also traveling with her child, different body type. She was much thinner than I was. And she looked at my outfit and said, wow, your shorts are longer than mine. They didn't say anything to me.
Do you believe that, again, to your point about body type, that black women being and you have, first of all, were the two flight attendants, were they both white?
No, they were black. Both flight attendants were black. I've gotten that question.
So two black women, two black flight attendants question your attire.
Absolutely. And we don't know where the question came from. Did it come from the pilot who was Caucasian? Did the complaint come from a Caucasian passenger? So I think a lot of people want to focus on the race of the flight attendants, which is irrelevant because you have discrimination even within our own communities. You know, if someone's working at a country club and they happen to be African American, do they treat all of the African American customers the same as the white? Not necessarily. I mean, how did we as slaves get here?
So the flight attendants never told you where the complaint originated from?
Never even told me that there was a complaint, to be honest. What they said was, do you have a jacket? You know, and if we want to just assume my attire was inappropriate, which it absolutely was not, let's say it was inappropriate in their eyes, the way they treated me as a customer, irrespective of my attire, was as if I had, as so many people assume, rode on a buddy pass, that I was begging for a free ride. They were cold, they were hostile, they were demeaning. You know, God forbid someone is actually inappropriate, you still would not treat them that way. So racism was at play, sexism was at play. It was just horrible.
So, Dr. Rowe, American Airlines apologized to you. What more did they say they're going to do?
They have said they're going to refund me, which is interesting because I've gotten over and over again, have you been refunded? Have you been refunded? And, you know, based on the questions, I kept checking my bank account looking for this refund. The Washington Post told me that American Airlines told them a refund was issued on July 1st, which would have been the day following my flight. And I received today a check dated July 10th. So there's definitely some discrepancy there, a check that will not be cashed.
Well, certainly American Airlines has some answers that they need to give, and also those flight attendants should also be stating where this complaint originated from, because if it came from them, they got some questions to answer. If it came from a passenger or the pilot, they too have some questions to answer as well. Dr. Rowe, we're certainly glad you could join us to share your experience with this flight, and hopefully this will lead to some changes with American Airlines.
Definitely hope so.
All right. Dr. Tisha Rowe, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Have a nice night.
Folks, let's talk about a bill in California now signed into law banning hair discrimination. Joining us right now is the woman who pushed that bill forward, State Senator Holly Mitchell. Senator Mitchell, how you doing?
I'm great. Good to see you, Roland.
It was great to see you here in Essence. This obviously hugely important bill. I remember a few years ago I was debating somebody and they were talking about how EEOC serves no purpose, and I remember reading going on the EEOC website, and there was a black woman who applied for a job with the VA in Virginia. Impeccable credentials. Had all the right experience, degrees, and everything. Yet after her interview, she walks out of the room, and the man on the panel goes, I just don't like her cornrows. First of all, I don't think they were even cornrows, but he was talking about her hair. And she successfully sued, won $70,000 in back pay, and eventually got the job. But here was a perfect example of a black woman with all the right credentials, but some white man didn't like her hair.
Right. And that's why we carried Senate Bill 188, the Crown Act, to prevent employers and schools from continuing these policies based on our hair. We all saw the video of the young wrestler. We have heard any number of court cases, U.S. Supreme Court cases for the past 40 years. Black women going back to the 80s in the banking industry and the airline industry who were trying to go to work and wear their hair braided and wearing their hair in its natural state in what we're calling protected hairstyles, braids, twists, and locks, are violating these supposed professional workplace standards. And we said enough is enough, and so we introduced the Crown Act.
So how does this work? And so obviously you have this law now. So let's say somebody believes that they did not get a job because of their hair. So what happens?
So basically, we've added natural hair and protected hairstyles, again, locks, twists, and braids, to the list of attributes or race-based traits or traits that are under the protected class under Department of Fair Employment and Housing and Education Code. So protected characteristics like gender, race, religion, sexual orientation, all those things. You can't fire me because I'm Black or a woman or I'm over 40. And so we've added the trait, the race-based trait of hair texture and protected hairstyles to that category of protected characteristics.
This obviously has met with a lot of praise from a number of people. Are you hoping other states will follow your lead?
That's absolutely the goal. We were thrilled to be able to work collaboratively with the Crown Coalition, Dove, and other national organizations, Urban League, other national organizations from across the country. California was first. I'm proud of that. But we're going to have to approach this on a state-by-state basis until federal legislation is introduced and passes. And so I know that there are a couple of other states, New York and New Jersey, who have bills in the hopper, if you will. But I was thrilled when our Governor, Gavin Newsom, signed it into law on July 3rd.
All right, then, Senator Holly Mitchell, congratulations. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Great to be with you.
All right, Kelly, this is something that is really important because we know people who actually have been discriminated against because of their hair.
I've been discriminated against because of my hair. So when I heard about this bill that passed, I was elated because my hair has absolutely nothing to do with my intelligence. It has nothing to do with my work ethic, has nothing to do with the potential of great performance that I will contribute to my place of employment. My hair never did anything for me except make me look cute. And it has nothing to do with anything outside of aesthetic. I've had to deal with this pretty much my entire life. And even some mentors of mine, people who had my best interests at heart, who were discriminated against because of their hair, tried to give me pointers on how to do my hair, this, that, and the third, to basically dissuade people from, you know, just talking about my hair and not about what I'm bringing to the table. But like I said before, my hair didn't get me any of my degrees. I went to law school with this hair. I went to college with this hair. I'm at work now with this hair. And it has nothing to do with anything. And the fact that we have to go through this, it's the fact that we have to put this into law, it just shows just how inherently racist this country is, and how bigoted this country is towards black women in general. But I am grateful for the protection.
Kelly, it's not just black women. Jason, I'll tell you, Steve Perry and I talked about this here. Steve Perry has, you know, really shiny, wavy hair. And we were at CNN. There were a couple of people at CNN who literally came to him to ask him to change his hair because it was too shiny and wavy. And he was like, hell no.
Yeah, I've never heard, you know, maybe I've spent too much time in the African-American community, but I've never heard your hair can be too shiny and wavy. Those are usually pluses in my community. But, yeah, I mean, the fact that, and even actually, I was going to mention, I believe it was Hampton University, that even some black institutions have discriminated against other black people for the way they wear their hair. We have to stop this. And, you know, it is a white privilege to be able to go to work and to always know that your hair, the way it grows naturally, is always acceptable. It's always acceptable for work. But for black people, it takes all this prep. Sometimes they ask you to chemically alter yourself. So think about that. The way that you are naturally is not suitable or acceptable or professional. And I think that that is, you know, if there's a statement about white supremacy, then that's one of them. That is one of the major ones.
Malik?
Yeah, I think it was a good decision, you know, for California, and I think it works. Any other state that wants to follow that. Jason kind of stole my point that said, you know, to spread this out, that this isn't just something that white people do. This is something that, you know, unfortunately is something that a lot of people face even in the black community, and not just particularly at Hampton universities. You know, we have these people who are hiring managers. You know, we also sit at these tables where we make decisions based on how people look. You know, I've had conversations with people, you know, extending it beyond hair, where the name, you know, and of course there's probably no such thing as name discrimination, but you know, that's why we're in an era now.
Yes,
sure. Okay. Well,
yes, it is. That was a study done.
Okay.
That was a study done a few years ago in Boston. What they did was they took the exact same resume, applied a white-sounding name, a black-sounding name, and the white-sounding name got a 50% more callback for jobs and apartments than the black-sounding name.
Yeah, well, see, and well, there you go then. So it's really not that surprising to me that this type of thing still goes on today. You know, I think that's part of the reason when I'm having conversations with people, you know, some of my friends who have kids, you know, they name their kids very vanilla sounding names. You know, they're not authentically anything, you know, so I think this is, you know, it's an unfortunate thing, but this is something that we definitely have to deal with. And, you know, my name is Malik Abdul. So I get it all the time. You know, airports, you know.
What's your name?
Malik Abdul.
Malik?
Malik.
It ain't Malik?
Malik, yes, M-E-L. It's like Mel. Malik.
Malik. I ain't never
people
heard
say
that.
ma, they say ma, you know, so hey, I just roll with it.
Malik.
Malik, yes.
That's it. Malik?
Malik, yes.
Oh, I'm going to talk about you more now.
We've got some, I would say people of color, but since white people have color too, we'll just say some non-white congresswomen who are in the United States Congress who seem to be engaged in a bit of a dust-up. New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, our sister from the Bronx, has accused House Speaker Nancy Pelosi of singling out newly elected women of color, newly elected non-white women, I'd say, in the Democratic Party. She's referring to the 4 freshmen who are known as the Squad. All of them, one way or another, have been interviewed, either covered on this show or talked to directly. And that, of course, is Ayanna Pressley from Massachusetts, Ilhan Omar, of course, of Minnesota, and Rashida Tlaib, who took over John Conyers' seat coming out of Detroit in Michigan. Pelosi has had, of course, denied it. Of course she has. And wants to keep the family business in the family. What do you all make of not only these 4 known as the Squad, and I tell you, I love their style. You can't, whatever else, you may not agree with them politically, but they are not going to be quiet. What is Pelosi's play here? What's her strategy of now beginning to heighten these things and say, well, there are only 4 votes. They don't represent anybody, as though only 4 people voted for them in their districts. I mean, what is Pelosi trying to accomplish by taking them on in the public sphere?
Pelosi is trying to maintain power. Okay. She is the Speaker of the House. She is the leader of the Democratic Party, right? Facto or de jure, de facto. She is trying to keep her base in line, and she's not going to be upstage by a 20-some-year-old who can't afford to pay her rent in, right, in D.C.
Yes.
Fundamentally. And she is trying to make sure that her caucus stays in line. And in some ways, I kind of agree with her. I think AOC is, I appreciate the spirit that she brings to Congress. I appreciate the 4 women in the spirit that they bring in Congress.
No question.
But I also think she's out of control.
In what way?
I think she is out of control.
We say out of control.
Out of control.
The Green New Deal is out of control. Policy is out of control.
I think.
I'll say this. So, having read the op-ed that Maureen Dowd did in the New York Times.
Say some more about that to the viewers, because they may not know.
So, if anybody, for your reading pleasure, I would encourage you, implore you to please pull up a piece that was done over the weekend, Nancy Pelosi with Maureen Dowd of the New York Times. It was staged. They were sitting down, you know, eating, popping chocolates, just having a genteel, you know, kind of setting. And so it kind of took me back, just framing it, thinking about antebellum, 2 women sitting on the veranda. This is what I got because of the language that was used in talking about, and I take offense to them being called the squad. They are 4 duly elected representatives that serve their people in the United States Congress.
And all you have to do, if you want to see how prepared they are, turn on C-SPAN.
Please
and
do.
watch them on financial services.
Please do.
Watch them on judiciary.
Yes.
They are no more prepared.
No more prepared.
But anyways,
4 women of color
Yes.
who were duly elected, who are absolutely speaking truth to power. I applaud and love and champion each and every one of them because though Speaker Pelosi does have the power of the gavel, the only reason she had it is because a group of people, meaning the American people, went to the ballot box, not all Democrats, that said, hello, we want a check on this president. So since you said that you're going to give that to us, then we are going to vote for you to do just that. And she reneged on that. And that also brought in new people as well, new blood. These women have been running the race for a very, very long time. So while they've only been in Congress for about a year, these women have been activists in their community for many years.
Sure.
So to not, take them away from what they've done since they've been in the House, these women have been doing that type of work in the streets.
And they're not the only. This is the interesting interesting thing about it as well. Lucy McBath is coming out of Georgia.
Absolutely.
There are a number of
You
the
have
2
Lauren
sisters who are
Underwood in Illinois.
Lauren Underwood,
So there are other women who have been doing the same thing.
So why
they're
these
not
4?
making as much noise?
Well, here's the thing.
But I'm not convinced. And I applaud their work and I love their energy, but I'm just not convinced the good noise, right? John Lewis talks about if you're going to fight, make it a good
And
fight.
you would use John Lewis as the example, brother. The most effective member of that's tongue firmly planted in cheek.
In terms of what he does, his fight is effective. His
Is he now?
He's my congressman.
Okay, I'm not mad at him. He's a Civil War hero. I'm sorry, civil rights hero. I shouldn't say.
If you read that piece prior to the topic that we're specifically discussing, you will see Nancy Pelosi refer to them as these people. You will see the language in there that is very isolating, that is really saying to them, listen, y'all sit down, y'all have a seat. So as to say to a black woman, since I am a black woman and I understand the microaggressions, I understand the
and Dowd and Pelosi have a relationship. This is this whole distinction between brie and sausage and everything they're talking about in there. But fortunately, because I'm getting in my ear that we have been joined by our big brother. So I think we can go directly to another part of the world and bring into this conversation the host of Roland Martin Unfiltered to bring the funk. Is that Roland Martin? In all
Greg, what's happening?
Brother, you got to loan me that Koofy man and that dashiki. It's good to see you, brother.
Good to see you as well. Thanks for holding it down. I'm here in Nassau, Bahamas, of course, Global United Fellowship. First of all, let me just say this here. Glad y'all are sitting here having this conversation. So I'm here with Bishop Neil Ellis. I'm going to talk to him in just a second. I do want to weigh in on this whole deal here. The reality is this here. I think Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is absolutely correct. The Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, she needs to watch her tone. Let me be real clear. Tone. White folks have a tendency to talk to black folks a certain way. Talk to people of color a certain way. And so I think in some ways Nancy Pelosi is jealous of the amount of attention that Ocasio-Cortez is getting as a result of her ascension to Congress. And so she also sort of wants to keep them in place. But the reality is, as I said, they were elected to be the kind of leaders they are being. That's what young bucks do. That's what freshmen are supposed to do. If you look at what happened on the Tea Party side, when you had new freshmen who came in, they were rambunctious. They were the exact same way. They would utilize their power. And so what Nancy Pelosi needs to be very careful, because this is the key. Nancy Pelosi can raise a lot of money. Nancy Pelosi cannot drive folks to the polls. Ocasio-Cortez went to Kansas with Senator Bernie Sanders. They went to places where Democrats have not done well. And so she must be extremely careful because they understand the power of young voters, the power of voices who have not been involved in politics. And that's the mistake that I believe Speaker Pelosi is making when she is so dismissive. She can say, look, I have great respect for all of our members. There are folks with different perspectives. My job as Speaker of the House is to pull all of those voices together. She needs the moderates who frankly come from a lot of red districts or red leaning districts. She needs those progressive voices as well. But I think it is a grave mistake on the part of Nancy Pelosi to be so disrespectful and the tone that she uses with these freshman members of Congress. And so to throw those 2 cents in.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. MarijuanaStock.org is another great investment opportunity. If you were lucky enough to invest in their last crowdfunding campaign, you, of course, now know that those folks are invested in a publicly traded company. They raised a ton of money in a few months investing in legal marijuana farms. Now, of course, they have a new investment opportunity, which is as good or if not even better. I'm talking about industrial hemp CBD. For those who don't know, the hemp plant is the cousin to marijuana with a much higher concentration of CBD, which means hemp CBD gives you all the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Until recently, hemp farming was practically illegal in the U.S. and heavily regulated by the DEA. However, the 2018 Farm Bill changed all of that, making it legal to grow hemp CBD in the U.S. and creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. They need land to grow all the plants, which makes for an incredible investment opportunity. And that's where our good friends at 420 Real Estate come in. Their business model is real simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to high-paying tenants. That's right, they are hemp CBD landlords. And you can get in on the action. You can invest in the crowdfunding campaign for as little as $200 up to $10,000. Like I said, you may not want to miss out on this opportunity. Go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org to get in the game and to do it now. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.
All right, folks. You know what we do every week. Seems like every day. Another crazy-ass white person.
No charcoal grills are allowed. I'm white. I got you, bro. Illegally selling water without a permit
On my property.
Whoa! Hey!
You don't live here.
I'm uncomfortable.
All right, y'all. Interesting story here. An Atlanta couple under fire for evicting residents who had black friends over for a visit. Seriously. The tenant is Victoria Sutton. She's claiming the couple, Alan and Patricia McCoy, called her an N-word lover after a black family came over for a play date. A local news crew stopped by to ask the McCoys if it was true, and this happened.
Channel 2. We just got this lawsuit that was filed today.
I headed to Gordon County to find the McCoys. A newly filed federal lawsuit alleges they evicted a tenant from this Bartow County home because she had a black family over for a play date. The complaint says Mr. McCoy called her an N-word lover, and there's a recording of Mrs. McCoy saying, "I don't put up with N-words in my house, and I don't want them on my property."
Is there any truth to that?
No.
No?
I'm the best friend I got is colored people.
Your best friends are colored?
Yes, sir.
McCoy asked me if I knew his black neighbor. He said the eviction was necessary.
You couldn't walk through it. The people living in and out come down there and hope us on it.
Okay. So it was damaged property, not black people that you had a problem with. So all of this is...
I'll sit you down now. Let me get those lady out.
Okay.
Well, Robert, some of his best friends are coloreds. Victoria Sutton is suing them for housing discrimination. Again, I keep saying, these folks they do what they do every single day. Thank goodness for video.
Well, Roland, I feel like this is my beat because I'm the Georgian on the panel, and I grew up in a double-wide trailer, and I saw the Confederate flag flying out front in the video, which I think is probably a good sign that you shouldn't be taking your black children over there for a play date if they're flying a Confederate flag in front of the actual trailer you're going to. But clearly this is...
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, general good idea. Just I don't have children, but just as a general rule, I'm not going to take you to the Confederate flag household. But this is clear housing discrimination. With all the evidence which is built up against these individuals, I think more so than any monetary compensation, because you do not look to be the most wealthy people on earth, bringing issues like this to light is probably the most important part of this suit. There are so many people in the South who still have a Dixiecrat mindset. And what you have to do, in that man's mind, you can tell that he really did not believe he was being racist by calling black people colored. He thought that he was being nice. So if calling people colored is the nice way you refer to them, then I can absolutely believe everything that was said in that accusation.
No, Mustafa, I want that family to own a double wide.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you got to sue folks sometimes, to get their attention and to help them to evolve. And also to make sure that they know that there is a payment to be had for racism.
But like you said, and this is my issue, the Confederate flag was waving. How come that wasn't a warning sign for the black folks who were walking past it to go to be the black friends for the white folks?
But here's the other deal, though. We got also, look, the reality is you're also dealing with a housing crisis in this country. All right, and it is very her deal is, look, I need a place to live, Teresa, and so it doesn't matter. That is, again, I want them to sue. I want them to take the own double wide and kick the racist white couple out.
Absolutely. I mean, listen. Yes, the home crisis is definitely an issue. But like I said, I think, she needed to know, listen, the rent was affordable, just kind of getting back to basic terms. The rent was affordable. I had access to that building, and these old people seem like they're nice, even though there's a Confederate flag. It could have been a lack of understanding about what the Confederate flag actually is and what it meant.
That man was old enough to have made the flag.
Exactly.
He knew what that flag
also,
means.
Let me stand up for double wide trailers for a second. Because I feel like double wide trailers get a bad rap. They are very comfortable. Heating and utilities very low. I'm being for real. Look, if you grew up in a double wide trailer, you will appreciate. Now, the one that was a single wide they were in, so those are poor people. But if you have a nice, well-manufactured double wide trailer.
So, I'm sorry, Robert. I'm sorry. The single wide is poor. The
single wide for poor people. Double wide trailers are luxurious. Now, if you really got money like we did, you take the double wide, you pull the single wide up parallel to it or perpendicular to it, and you make a tri-level. So it's like you have a play area downstairs. You have a little grotto out front. You have a little receiving area. So double wide trailers are very nice. Let's not talk bad about double wide trailer people.
I guess, or you can put some rims on
Robert, we're not talking bad about double wides. We're talking bad about the racists in double wide.
You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it.
Hey everybody, this is your man Fred Hammond, and you're watching Roland Martin, my man, Unfiltered.
Hi, this is Essence Atkins, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hey yo, Peace World, what's going on? It's the Love King of R&B, Raheem Devon, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hi, my name is Brescia Webb, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Ow. Well, I like a nice filter usually, but we can be unfiltered.
What's going on? This is Tobias Trevelyan, and if you're ready, you are listening to and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's up? I'm Lance Gross, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hi, this is Cheryl Lee Ralph, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, could it be any other way? Really? It's Roland Martin.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? The blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it.
Hey everybody, this is Sherry Shepherd. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered, and while he's doing Unfiltered, I'm practicing the wobble. Yes, I am. Because Roland Martin's the one, he will do it backwards, he will do it on the side. He messes everybody up when he gets into the wobble, because he doesn't know how to do it, so he does it backwards. And it messes me up every single time. So, I'm working on it. I got it. You got Roland Martin.
Hi, my name is LaToya Luckett, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mac Wiles, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's up, y'all? It's Ryan Destiny, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What up, Lana Well, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? The blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play.